So I will personally believe that the private equity industry will slow down. What I think they'll start to occur is, first off, they're going to look in their own backyard and look at their what they acquired and said, okay, how are we operating prior to COVID and how are we going to change that operation? So I think they're first going to look at who they own today versus what they want to own tomorrow. So I think you need to look at your own backyard, just like you're doing with your practice, John. I'm assuming now your partners have sat back and said, okay, how are we going to operate differently tomorrow? So you're your own firm, you're your own private equity firm establishing that. That's what they're going to do. Then they're going to start to identify, okay, is there further consolidation on the perimetry? Meaning, are there practices that maybe could be complementary, synergistic, that yesterday were no, not interested, or weren't at this time to be able to integrate in? I think those are going to be on the small end, but I do see that happening. But I will tell you, at the end of the day, private equity is no different than what you and I do with our checkbook, even more disciplined probably than me. They're going to be much more stringent on what they have made investments in. And then if there was an exit, I think that's also a question. If there was that belief that that exit was going to be 3 to 5 years, it might now be a little longer, which will even put further discipline in what they decide to do. And again, these, I think are challenges that we all have, but they're no different than how we manage our portfolio companies today. They're just going to be very stringent on how are we operating today versus what we're going to do tomorrow. And one other point, I think they're going to ask the same questions you asked me in the first segment. How can we become more productive? So maybe what you're going to see is that they're going to actually accelerate the diagnostic platforms even more so. So back to your first segment, diagnostic entities, diagnostic entrepreneurial attitudes, diagnostic mentality for the practices will be accelerated by private equity because that makes them more productive.